I have a 5-year-old gelding that I started last April. I started him in a bosal, and he did great, so I went to an O-ring snaffle. He wants to constantly toss his head around and fight me when I use a bit on him. In the round pen, he will stay collected and respond, but once I go out into the open to work him and there are other horses around, he wants to fight me, totally ignore me, and run off. I need some guidance on how to help fix the problem.
In this particular case, I really don't think your equipment's the problem. I really don't think the bosal or the snaffle is what's making the difference. What's giving me that impression in your question is when you say, when I go outside around other horses, he wants to act up, he wants to run off. That right there tells me he's not paying attention to you, he's not listening to you, and he's certainly not using the thinking side of his brain. If that's the case, when you say that he'll go around the round pen collected and he listens to you in there, I wouldn't even think about having him collected whatsoever if I'm getting this reactiveness out of him. You need to go back and do everything lateral. You need to be bending him, softening him, yielding his hindquarters, serpentines, post and circle. You need to be doing everything lateral to get him soft, supple, and broke from side to side before you ever think about picking up on 2 reins. So in this particular case, if he's getting out around the other horses and he's just absolutely losing his mind, I don't know how many other horses we're talking about. I don't know if we're talking about you and a buddy or you're going on a fox hunt. I don't know what's happening here. But regardless, if you get outside around the other horses and he immediately has this meltdown and starts using the reactive side of his brain, you need to put his feet to work out there. You need to go give him something to do. If he gets real out of hand, you might have to get off of him and go put his feet to work on the ground. Go do some lunge of respect stage 1 and 2 and pull him around on the ground and get him to use the thinking side and get him paying attention a little bit more before you get on and get it done. But assuming you can get it done under saddle safely, okay, I would tell you, if he's just running off with that snaffle, chances are you've just not done a very good job of getting him to actually listen to the snaffle. It really isn't it's really not a magic button, what I'm saying here. You got to teach him to soften to it. You got to get him flexing. You need to get him yielding his hindquarters. You need to do the bending at the walk exercise. You need to get him steering better. You need to be working on your follow the fence, diagonals, post and circle, rollbacks on the fence. You need to be doing things that get him to respect that bridle and to get him to listen to you. The horse shouldn't just go from the round pen and he's an absolute angel in there, and then when you go outside, he has a total meltdown. Another thing, when you go outside, I don't know if do you mean on the trail or do you mean in the arena? If your horse may not be ready for you to take him straight out on the trail, especially not with other horses. So if we're training a horse at home, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the first couple of rides on in the round pen, and then I'm going to move to the arena. The arena is a controlled environment. It allows me to work on my 1-rein stops, cruising, yield to a stop, and these exercises in a much more controlled, contained environment. Then I'm not as worried that if my horse gets spooked and wants to run off, or he kind of grabs a hold of the bridle because he's not real broke yet, I'm not worried about him. Oh man, he's going to run me off into the trees, and now he's running up behind a bunch of other horses, and now he's spooking them, and they're running off, and this whole thing just snowballs into a disaster. So chances are you probably need to be going to an arena or something larger than a round pen to start that fundamentals process to get him more respectful of your hands in general. So I really don't think it's the snaffle. I hear this a lot when I'll hear people say something along the lines of, Jeff, you want us to ride in a snaffle. Clinton says ride in a snaffle, but my horse just won't stop in a snaffle, but if I put a shank bit on him, he'll just run down and slide to a stop. I'm going to have to call nonsense on that one. That's just not true. If the horses respect the pressure, they respect the pressure. It doesn't matter. The bit's just a tool in its mouth. Are there things that are more effective? Are there things that the horses will respect more? Absolutely. That's why there's a lot of different types of bits, and they come in all shapes and sizes and on and on and on. Because certain horses are going to respond better. The key is better. It's not like, he rides amazing in a smooth snaffle, but if you put a twisted wire on there, he will absolutely have a meltdown. That's just not a reality. That's just not true, okay? So, in general, it sounds like you really need to go back and do a better job at the fundamentals level, or start the fundamentals if you haven't already. That would be my first go-to for you. And then I would move on into another area that's a little bit more of a controlled environment. And you may not be ready to ride with other horses right now. That may just be the cold, hard fact. You may need to be riding him in that arena by himself for a little while. The more horses you add in there, the more that herd instinct comes out in him. If it's there already, and if he's not that well trained right now, we don't mean to be making things harder on him. We need to make it, you need to focus on me and you. That's it. I don't need you thinking about anything else. It's about me and you here, and get that under control. And then you can start adding other horses into the mix and riding around those other horses. So without seeing exactly what's going on with your horse, that would be my first response to you. Lateral flexion, again, is going to be the absolute key here. When he gets nervous and you get outside, I've seen this a lot of times, what will happen is you ride outside, the horse gets a little excited, the other horses are getting him worked up, and immediately the riders kind of clamp up on both reins and they try to contain him. And that's when you see these horses, they're kicking out, they're wanting to half buck you off, they're crow hopping around, or they're wanting to run off, or they start rearing up in the air, and it's because you're trying to trap him. You're trapping that nervous prey animal energy. Don't trap it, redirect it. Go use it for something constructive. Circles, serpentines, spin him around, stop him and back him up. Go roll him back on the fence. Go yield his hindquarters. Go bend him around. Go do something with the nervous energy and the rocket fuel that's in there rather than just trying to contain it. So without seeing you and seeing exactly what you're doing, those would be my recommendations for you.
Take your horsemanship to the next level. The No Worries Club Premium membership is your ultimate portal to complete your horse training. You'll have access to Clinton's complete training library, thousands of hours of step-by-step instructional videos. You'll master all aspects of horsemanship, from fundamentals to trick training. You'll have access to our exclusive social network that connects you with thousands of dedicated horsemen from around the world. You'll have the method available wherever you are and accessible through the web, your phone and tablets, or your favorite streaming devices. You'll receive 8 all-new training videos per year and the quarterly No Worries Journal, as well as access to the ever-growing video library, Q&As, performance horse series, blogs, and more. But that's not all. You also get free tickets to walkabout tours and priority access to the latest news coming from Down Under horsemanship. Not to mention VIP pricing on all of Clinton's must-have training tools. So what are you waiting for? Unlock the ultimate access and jumpstart your training program today.